Let's cover classes and IDs because these are so important. You're gonna see that you're gonna use speaking another language, we're gonna use these across every website. Whenever you start building your own projects, you're gonna use these constantly. So they're very, very important. So what I want to show you is, hey, maybe we have some elements on the screen. Maybe we have a H1 here that might be our logo of our website, and then we might have an article here. Let's do a H2 article title like this, and then we might have some paragraphs, and we can actually generate random text here by writing lorem and typing a number. If I want 30 characters, I can type 30 and hit tab, and as you can see, that generates us some random text here. And Google Chrome is like, do you want to translate? No, I don't want to translate this. So what we can do is we can copy these multiple times. So you can kind of imagine like we have a blog or something on our website, okay? A small little blog. Okay, now when we're going to arrive to CSS, you might want to style these in certain ways. But right now, what happens if we might have some paragraph here that's totally unrelated? Maybe this is some text that has nothing to do with the articles. Well, here is where classes and IDs are going to help us. A class and an ID is basically a selector, and it allows us to select certain parts of our HTML. So later on in our CSS and in our JavaScript, we can manipulate and style in different ways. So we saw the ID before in our input, and what an ID is basically a unique identifier. As you can see, it's a unique identifier of a particular HTML element. So here, a great example is the logo here. This can be an ID, and the reason why it's special is because an ID cannot have the same name. You can have multiple IDs, but the name needs to be unique. You cannot have another H1 here with logo, okay? That's not good. You only can have one. But in classes, you can have the same name very easily. And let's take a look on how we can add a class. We just write class, so it kind of works the same way. And we can just say something like article text. And I'm gonna do it with like a small dash between, like this. All right, this is very simple and clear to read. And you usually want to give names to your classes and IDs that resemble of basically what the HTML element does. So what is this? Well, it's the article text. So that's what I'm going to name it. And also separated by a small dash here, just makes everything clear and very readable. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. This is unique. You can only have one of these. And again, a great example is maybe a logo on your website. That is probably only one, so it's very unique. So you would name it logo. And here, classes, we can have the same name added multiple times. So I can have it across all of these different paragraphs. So later on, you can imagine that we can select this class by the name article text, and we can style only these specifically. And the difference is that it's not going to affect this, right? The ones that don't have this specific class. So what we're going to do is select this class, and it's only going to style the classes or the paragraphs that have this specific class. That's kind of a tongue twister. Did that even make it? I'm not sure if that made any sense. But again, because we're going to see later on in CSS, if you just select our p tags and you want to style them, it's going to affect everything that you have, all the p tags in your HTML. However, with classes and IDs, you can select them by the name that you provide in here. Okay, and we're going to also see some differences with classes and IDs when we arrive to CSS, because there's like a specificity going on, which is more important than which. But that's all you have to remember for now. Logos, if you have something unique on your website and you want to give it a name, so later on you can style it in your CSS and JavaScript, then you can use an ID as long as the name is completely unique. When you have multiple things or less important things or things that you want to name the same, then you can use classes for that. Also, very quickly, the character needs to be at least one character long. okay? And you also cannot have spaces or anything like that. Make sure you negate any spaces. Don't do something like this, because what you can also have is two classes on one element. You can have article text and maybe article text active, all right? So these are two separate classes here, all right? That's the difference. So we can maybe style this in one way and we can style the active in another way if we want. Okay, so without confusing you too much, I'm gonna leave you to it like this, and I promise it's gonna make way more sense when we get to CSS, because right now we're just naming these for no reason and nothing's happening.